begin with the book of Daniel, the prophet Daniel. We are in chapter 1. This says the word of the Lord. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and besieged it. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, with some of the articles of the house of God, which he carried into the land of Shinar to the house of his God. And he brought the articles into the treasure house of his God. Alright, this is a very small paragraph, right? It's only 2 verses of the Bible. But there's a long story behind this. Why these people of God, the tribe of Judah, was taken captive to Babylon. Let's make a short summary of history. After the death of King Solomon, the people of Israel, the nation, divided into two kingdoms, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. The northern kingdom was called Israel, or sometimes Ephraim. You can find it in the Bible like Ephraim. And the southern kingdom was the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin. So, 10 tribes in the north and 2 tribes in the south. But in the year 722 before Christ, the Assyrians attacked the northern kingdom and destroyed it. It was totally destroyed, and the survivors were exiled to Assyria. And they brought people from other nations to populate that land. So that kingdom disappeared, totally disappeared. Now, about 120 years later, the second kingdom, the southern one, Judah, was attacked too by Babylon. Babylon defeated the Assyrians and the Egyptians and became the most powerful nation at that time. Babylon, right? Now, what happened? Why did this happen to them? Well, the Lord sent prophets to the northern kingdom before they were destroyed, warning them about what could happen to them. A judgment of God was coming. But they continue in their sins, rebellion against God, idolatry. In fact, from all the kings that they had during their existence, there wasn't one good king in the north. No one. In the south, there were some kings were good. Were good, speaking in human terms, right? Because they were sinners too, like you and me. But the judgment to them was delayed a little bit, about 120 years, well, let's say more, because that kingdom was destroyed in 586 before Christ. So the northern kingdom, 722, the southern kingdom, 586. Why? The same reason. Because their sins, their rebellion, their idolatry, breaking the laws of God. And God sent prophets and prophets and prophets. He sent many prophets, and they didn't listen. And they killed them. In most of the cases, they were murdered. No. He warned them. Let's see in the the second book of Kings, chapter 20. What happened? At that time, before the time we are talking about today, the king Hezekiah received in his palace some kind of diplomats, we would say today. Diplomats from the Babylonian king. And he showed them everything. He was very kind to them. He showed them the treasures, the palace, the temple, everything. So then the prophet Isaiah visited him and brought to him word of God, like this. Let's see verse 16. It says, Then Isaiah said to Hezekiah, "Hear the word of the Lord. Behold, the days are coming when all that is in your house and what your fathers have accumulated until this day shall be carried to Babylon. Nothing shall be left, says the Lord. And they shall take away some of your sons who will descend from you, whom you will beget, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon." It was a prophecy about 120 years before the times we're going to talk about from now on. About the prophet Daniel, the life of Daniel. God never lies. So it happens. So let's go back to Daniel 1. But before, let's remember this. It says here that he took some of the articles from the house of God, from the temple in Jerusalem, to Babylon. I'm talking about King Nebuchadnezzar. Why? Because they think that if they take the gods of their enemies, they win. They can show how powerful they are. They show that their God or their gods were more powerful than the other people's gods. That's why he took some articles. And then years later, they took more, and finally he took everything to Babylon in the year 586. The moment we are talking about is the year around 605 before Christ, after Nebuchadnezzar defeated the Assyrians and the Egyptians and were on his way to his country to take office as a king, because his father, Nebuchadnezzar, has passed away. So the biblical writer called him the king, but technically he wasn't the king yet. But he was on the way to the throne at that time, and passing by Jerusalem, he did this. He received some taxes, some tribute, and he took these vessels and things from the temple, and he took people, captives. Those captives were used at that time to become hostages, right? And usually they take important people to their countries, like hostages, so the other country doesn't attack them. Verse 3. Then the king instructed Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, to bring some of the children of Israel and some of the king's descendants and some of the nobles, young men in whom there was no blemish, but good-looking, gifted in all wisdom, possessing knowledge and quick to understand, who had ability to serve in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the language and literature of the Chaldeans. And the king appointed for them a daily provision of the king's delicacies and of the wine which he drank, and 3 years of training for them, so that at the end of that time they might serve before the king. Well, this king was a cosmopolitan man, maybe, right? Now they were the most powerful nation in the region. From the Mediterranean, the north of Africa, to Asia, the most powerful. We would say it's like today, this man was the president of the most powerful country. Let's say the United States, let's say Russia, China, I don't know, something like that. And they wanted to show in their court that variety of the prisoners, the captives, the nations they were subdued. We don't say that in this kind of training weren't young men from other nations, not only from Israel. Of course, the writer refers to the Jews because he's a Jew, right? Probably they had people, students from many nations, to be trained to serve before the king, to serve in the court. He wanted people from the most important families, so they were used to move in the court. Yeah? And they say, oh, good looking. Why? Because in the Eastern in the Eastern courts, they didn't want to show anything that wasn't beautiful in the presence of the king. That's why. Good looking and very smart. Now, let's remember this. God is in control of history. All this happened because God is in control. Maybe the king thought, no, maybe he thought that he was the king of a big empire because of him, because of his own strength. But look, the word that is used here in the first verses, when they say the Lord, is not the word Jehovah or Yahweh, the God of the covenant. No, it's Adonai, the powerful, the Almighty. That's the word. And he was the one who gave him in his hands, in the king's hands, the reign of Judah. Because God is in control. All this was in his plan. Now what happened? We have people exiled, young people. Supposedly at this time, Daniel, the prophet, who was one of the captives, was around 15 years old. 15 years old, and he was taken from his land. Let's suppose that you, maybe someone takes us from our land to a foreign country, completely different, a language, totally different language. Well, these languages were kind of Semites, so they were similar in some things. But anyway, it's a foreign country. You have to learn a new language, a new culture. And so that's what they wanted. Brainwashed these young men. Wash their brains. So they forget their original country, their language, their culture, and especially their beliefs. Their God. Their God. That's what they wanted. And it happens today. Because we say, all right, what this has to do with me? This is ancient history. No, it happens today. Around you, around me. There are people who want to impose their ideology, their beliefs. Of course, the idea is that we respect them. If they have their beliefs, we respect them. But they don't have the right to impose on us their beliefs. But it happens every day. Now remember this. Not because everyone says that something is good, it means that it's good. But because few say that's bad, it doesn't mean that it's not bad. Maybe it's bad, even though few people say so. So what do? Okay, we check here, in this book, what God says about something, anything. We continue the next message with the life of the prophet Daniel. What happened with this young man? Were they brainwashed or not?